In 1992, Disney made that Aladdin animated movie that people seemed to like. I know people liked that movie because it made money, and eventually got a spin-off animated series, 2 direct-to-video sequels, and of course the obligatory pile of tie-in video games. There was eventually also a live-action remake that we're not going to talk about because I haven't seen it. No real desire to do so, to be honest with you, but indeed there were a bunch of video games based on the animated feature, but the 2 that seem to stick out the most are the critically acclaimed, beautifully crafted Virgin Interactive release for the Sega Genesis, which eventually got a re-release in recent years, and today's subject matter, the side-scrolling platforming release for the Super Nintendo, this one developed by Capcom, a company with a track record of quality Disney-licensed video games. And while people may swear by the impeccable quality of Virgin's Mega Drive offering, Aladdin on the Super NES holds its own just fine, even if it is lacking on the swordplay, or the traditional animation art style, or the projectile vomited camels. I am particularly saddened by that last omission, by the way, but whatever, I won't hold it against it much. Anyway, Aladdin is a side-scroller of the platforming variety where you guide Aladdin through various locales, making your way past guards, creatures, and other hazards to reach the end of the level, either denoted by an end goal or by a boss encounter that you have to conquer in order to progress onwards. Although armed with only a handful of apples that he could toss at foes to stun them momentarily, Aladdin can always collect more along the way, not to mention he can use the time-honored tradition of being able to kill bad guys by hopping on their noggins, which is but a sample of his athletic gifts. Aladdin can also grab onto poles to swing across chasms or just hang on to dear life. He could also vault certain vertical poles and pillars to evade pitfalls and other hazards, and if he narrowly misses a jump, he'll be able to grab onto the ledge and pull himself back up. As you progress through the game, you'll find other items like extra apples to add to your stock, food to replenish your health, hearts to extend your life, scarabs to play the bonus game that can earn you extra lives and continues, and finally this paper towel thing that allows you to slow your descent with the push of a trigger. Useful for long falls and reaching places that normally simply couldn't reach even if you tried. Collect green gems along the way, and if you manage to snag 100 you get an extra life. And if you're feeling particularly bold, try and seek out all the red gems to get different ending credits and stuff, assuming you care for such things, otherwise whatever I suppose. There are 8 levels of play in Aladdin comprising anywhere from 1 to 4 stages for a total of 21 stages, and for the good majority of these stages you'll be doing the whole platforming thing. The 2 stages will have you riding the magic carpet, the escape from the collapsing Cave of Wonders, and the ride with Jasmine, which the game dubs a bonus level, and serves no other purpose than to collect gems of the green and red varieties if you care for that sort of thing. When you eventually clear a level, you'll earn a password, which is good because they'll allow you to resume your game at a later time. Otherwise, you'll have a limited number of continues to make it through the long haul, which is a necessity if you're going to get them red gems and get that special ending again if you care for that sort of thing. Capcom's take on Disney's Aladdin places more of an emphasis on platforming and athletic endeavors than swashbuckling escapades that probably ingratiated more players towards the Genesis version. But this particular outing on the Super Nintendo is no lame duck tail spinning into mediocrity, no pun intended. On the contrary, Aladdin on SNES is otherwise serviceable platforming that might prove a tad less challenging than the rival 16-bit version, but no less enjoyable otherwise. Control for the most part is solid, but at times feels a bit picky in regards to collision, especially when it comes to grabbing onto tiny ledges. This is but a minor circumstance and roughly speaking shouldn't kill the game outright. Just remember to hold the button down to run. Sometimes that helps quite a bit in certain situations, and other times, not so much. Aladdin on the Sega Genesis managed a visual style that nearly captured the smooth animation style of the feature film. Aladdin on the Super Nintendo adopted the usual 16-bit SNES style that might seem less impressive in terms of artistic aesthetics, but shines brightly with its bright colors, detailed backdrops and characters, and otherwise smooth enough animation. The intermissions and cutscenes are also pretty decent, either using static images and text or some in-game assets. And in some cases, the SNES version shines over the Genesis version. Case in point, the bit where Aladdin finds the genie's lamp. Nice little sequence on the SNES, static image of Derp Face Abu on Genesis. I don't know what else to tell you. The sound is actually not too shabby either. There's a collection of decent tunes in here. Unfortunately for people who wanted the amazing musical numbers to be recreated on that SNES sound processing thing, there's only a couple tunes that are actually from the movie. The rest of them are entirely original compositions that, while thematically appropriate, aren't quite as memorable or catchy even. And the sound effects are your stock sound effects with maybe a couple grunts here and there, not much else to add to that, the end. Overall, Aladdin's outing on the Super Nintendo is a fine piece of work, a worthwhile side-scrolling platformer, a respectable iteration of the film it's based on, and another in a long line of quality Disney games regurgitated by Capcom. And I mean that in the nicest way possible, I promise. Given the choice between this game and its Genesis counterpart, it's a toss-up, but definitely a matter of preference. Those looking for swordplay in their Agrabah adventure in hell should check out the Mega Drive game, which again got a couple re-releases along the way, while those who just want a fun little platformer will find the SNES iteration to suit their needs just fine. And apparently there's even the Game Boy Advance version, which I've never played, but I don't know, it's something I guess. It's a thing that exists.